Are we live?
We are live.
We are. Okay, I think we just maybe lost Katie for a quick second. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Concierge Nursing Mastermind. Hi, Char.
Hello, how are you?
Good. There's Katie.
Am I back?
There's
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm a little worried about this, so that's why I want to get this for this to you guys, the PowerPoint, just in case.
Looks like
all right, everybody.
Live. We are live. Yes.
Yay, yes, we're live. All right, welcome everybody. We are talking about concierge nursing today, and so many of you are so excited about this. So, and I'm really excited. Are you guys, Charlene and Kimble, are you excited?
I am super excited. Yes.
All right, so be sure you can put comments inside of the chat box there, and Charlene and Kimble will answer your questions. What we're going to do is the presentation first, and then we'll answer questions as they come in the chat box, and at the end we're going to have a discussion. So let's get started. We're talking about how to start a successful concierge nurse business without struggling to figure out everything. And this is important because we are quite literally the only group that shows you how to start a concierge nurse business. Otherwise, it really is about starting from absolute scratch. And there's a lot of moving pieces in this business. We've streamlined it as best as you can humanly do it. But you definitely want some guidance on this because it's a lonely road by yourself for sure, but it can be much easier. We want you to start further along than we started. So 50% of nurses are reporting burnout. I think that's even higher now, especially in COVID time. Taking care of patients in the hospital can be exhausting and unrewarding. And, quite honestly, it's not what we all thought it was going to be going into nursing. We go into nursing to help people, and then you get just a panel of patients. And I used to feel like I was on some kind of conveyor belt, like just running patients from here to there, get to the next spot, and it's exhausting. So concierge nursing really takes that back because it's one-on-one care, and you really get to spend time with a client who you enjoy working. So again, the conveyor belt of rote healthcare, it's really, it's so tiresome. It's tiresome for nurses, it's tiresome for patients, it's tiresome for everybody. So it's time for something different. And that's what I love about the concierge model. Kimble and Charlene, what do you guys think?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
All right. So, in addition to the COVID situation has opened up the eyes of many nurses that things aren't actually going to get better in the hospital system for you anytime soon. So if you want something different, you are going to have to make something different for yourself. Concierge nursing is something that you can do on the side. We certainly know nurses that pick up 1 day a week for surgeons and just do their cases because surgeons typically have a set date or a set day of the week where they do their surgeries. The problem is that they don't usually just do one surgery. They usually do multiple surgeries on that one day. And as one concierge nurse, you can typically only take care of one patient at a time in their home. So it's nice to have a group of nurses working for you that are trained in your brand to serve patients the way you think they need to be served. So a lot of this has to do with, recognizing that concierge nursing is a specialty. It's a new specialty that's really come out in the last 5 years. Sometimes you just need that permission that, yeah, it's okay to do this, and we're going to show you step by step how to do it. And we want you to start ahead of the curve. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel when we've already done all of this for you. We've set the business up for you so you can start 10 paces ahead of where the rest of us started. So, what if there were a different way to do nursing, a better way that you got paid more money? So you can work with a patient one-on-one, which is ideal, make more money as a reward for improving care, because the better you are, actually the more money you make. That doesn't happen in the hospital system. If you're a better nurse than the other people that are there, you still get paid the same amount. You could have one of your nurse partners who does nothing, and they still get paid for the shift that they work, right? Whereas in business, the better you are, the more you get referred, the more business that comes your way. You can help other nurses get out of the hospital. We even certify your concierge nurses when you come in. We'll get you certified as a concierge nurse to run your business, and then we can work on certifying your nurses to represent your company, and to just find your true passion working basically outside of the hospital, because what you're doing inside the hospital is not all that great. But what do you need to do first? I mean, it's easy to see these other nurses start their business and they're making a killing, and look at this, and I made all this money and I tripled my income and blah, blah, blah. But, where did these people start? There's always a first step that you have to take. And that first step is, one, it's a hard step to take. And two, it's kind of like you dip your toe in the water type of thing, and you're not real sure if you should do this. That's what something like working with a group like ours, the concierge nurses, can do for you, because we give you that permission to move forward, the permission to be successful, and the tools, everything you need to be successful. My name is Katie Harris. I'm owner and CEO of NursePreneurs. And Kimble and then Charlene, you guys want to introduce yourself and talk about your business?
Sure. I'm Kimble Bradley, and I am the founder and CEO of Elite Concierge Nurses and IV Hydration Nation.
And I am Charlene Diamond. I'm founder and CEO of Integra Nurse, and it is an integrative concierge nurse service.
Yeah, so when we first started Concierge Nurse Services out of NursePreneurs, this was born out of NursePreneurs because we wanted to know how to start this, because literally nobody was doing concierge nursing at the time. And we focused mainly on plastic surgery patients. So there was a big need for patients after plastic surgery to have somebody take them to their home or hotel. And a lot of these patients don't want anybody to know that they're getting plastic surgery, or they don't want to ask a coworker to take the day off so that they can take them home after their tummy tuck or something, right? So there's a lot of issues there. So that was our focus. Kimble, for Elite Concierge Nurses, what kind of services do you guys provide?
Oh, yeah. Actually, we do post-op surgery patients as well. We take care of them after surgery, a variety of plastics and reconstructive surgery. We also do IVF injections. So for people who are taking fertility and have to give themselves shots that they don't want to give themselves shots. So we will go to them and give them their shots. So those are a couple of things that we do. Yeah.
And Charlene, you have a slightly different twist on your business as well.
I do. I do take care of post-operative patients. I do work with a plastic surgeon, and then I also have people that call for rides home from colonoscopy. For some reason, that's word of mouth. That's somehow how I get referred by one of the physicians, which is great. And I practice integrative nursing. So I will do Reiki on my clients. I use essential oils, and I like to kind of set the scene to make it kind of soft and the environment friendly. And usually afterwards, after I take care of that patient, I do end up taking them on as a client for regular Reiki services or nutrition counseling and things of that nature.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. I do too.
Yeah. So when you get started, you discover just all these various things that you can do. And a lot of times we do say, in the beginning, like, let's not put too many things together. But I mean, Kimble, even you put IV hydration, you do the IV hydration, and you can incorporate that into your business, right?
Yes, absolutely. I have had that need both the concierge service as well as the IV hydration, and it's a great complement to each other.
Right. So, whether you go into in vitro fertilization shots, or you're doing IV hydration, or you're doing integrative health, there's something you can add a spin to it that's slightly different, and it'll set you apart from your competition. And we talk about all those kind of things. Another one of our students, Thomas and Jenny, they actually, when they were out trying to find clients, they literally were going door to door, office to office, and they went to the office where one of the doctors from the doctors works, and they were thrilled. They were beyond thrilled to work with concierge nurses and to refer their patients to them. So receiving a contract to work with Dr. Orden from the TV show The Doctors is a big deal, right? But that kind of stuff doesn't happen by chance. It happens because you put a business together and you went out and, put yourself on the line. And that's a big part of that. So that's what we're going to show you today, how you go from this idea, like, yeah, this sounds like a neat idea, to putting money into your bank account, because that's ultimately the goal here. We'll talk about 3 things: relationships that you need to establish, just what clients are really looking for, and the marketing aspect of this. So relationships are really, really important. And I would say it's one of the biggest stepping stones for you in your business. So Charlene and Kimble, let me ask you guys, what was it like? Well, let me ask you this. Would you have any patients if it weren't for relationships that you have with doctors at this point?
No.
No, that's been the basis of the whole thing, starting those relationships.
It is. And even though I have friends or my parents' friends who recommend me, their doctor will say, oh, you don't need any help afterwards. Your daughter is fine. So it didn't even work that way. Going through friends, it's definitely through the physicians.
Right. So there has to be some buy-in to the physicians, and typically, especially plastic surgeons, because they're very well in tune with branding and marketing and having their name out there in a very positive way. So they go above and beyond for their clients, and they're very, very particular as well about who they refer to, because if a doctor refers you, it's an endorsement, right? So if Dr. Smith says you need to call elite concierge nurses, there's a very, very high chance that they are going to do that. They're not going to search around and say, well, this looks interesting, but let me see what other concierge nurses are in town. One, there's probably not too much other competition in town, but, because there's still a lot of room for concierge nurses, but you do what the doctor basically refers you to that person. So you need to spend a good portion of time building relationships with the office manager. And Kimble, I think you told me once too that, it wasn't always the doctor. Like the doctor would always forget to refer you, but it was the office manager and the MA.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Every time he'd see me, right after I got started, he said, oh gosh, we had a patient, we could have sent you. I forgot all about it. And the way he explained it to me is that they do what they've always done. Right. Mm-hmm. So he's there, he's seeing patients, he's in and out of rooms. But it was when I got with that medical, the office, the actual coordinator, surgery coordinator, that they said, okay, let's do this. We're going to get your things in their packets and we're going to make sure that they know about you. And when they are here, I'm going to mention them to you. So it was the relationship that got me into the office with the physician. But once my face was there, I needed to get with the right people inside of that office. So,
right. Yeah. And that's really important too. And you can imagine this conversation going on because, like, let's say a woman coming out of a doctor's, she might not necessarily want to go into detail about how her boyfriend can't come pick her up and blah, 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 but she will with the MA. And the MA is going to be like, hey, you know what? Why don't you just do this? Because this will make your life so much easier. So that's a big deal.
Yes.
So plastic surgeons and other types of physicians are looking for top quality nurses because this is so new, right? A lot of times, I had to, and Kimble, maybe you told me this, and we did this in the past. We were, I don't even know if that's still around, but we went on Craigslist looking for a nurse because we were so desperate.
Yeah, that was me. I had someone tell me that they were asking me about, the prices and this and that and the other. And they said, yeah, they could get a nurse from Craigslist a lot better. And once I explained to them, that we're not providing, services like a nurse would from Craigslist, and what concierge nursing really was, then it was a better understanding. But yeah, he did. And I told him, well, you go right ahead.
Just run away from those people. They're hiring
Yeah.
nurses off of Craigslist. I don't even know who's going on Craigslist anymore. I feel like that's for like.
Wow.
Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, so concierge nursing is about developing a brand around yourself, a brand around your nurses, and you want to be known for providing top quality care. Because if you call a nurse on Craigslist or who knows, or even just a staffing agency, you don't know who you're going to get. You might get a super awesome nurse, but and it's one of the reasons I go to Starbucks, right? Not because it's the best coffee, but I know what I'm going to get consistently, right? So, but if you want, when you find that one place that like does superior coffee, you just keep going back there. Like, I don't care how much it costs, just give me that coffee because it's so good. But when I'm traveling and and I don't know if this place is good or that place is good, I just by default will end up at Starbucks. And that's the importance of your brand and what you can establish by word of mouth and when you develop these relationships. So, like we said, Charlene does Reiki for clients. And Charlene, do you want to talk a little bit about Reiki and how you use it with clients?
Sure, absolutely. Reiki, if anyone's not familiar, it's energy therapy. And what it is it's a light touch, or I can even do it distantly, is where you send healing energy and help the person with their own natural healing process. And my patients, I talk to them before when I first meet them, and we're talking about their surgery and what they're having done. And I tell them if they're comfortable, once we get them home and situated, they're going to be groggy, but I will do a Reiki session on them and kind of give them a little mini session so they can see what to expect. And then a lot of times people kind of remember because they're not exactly out of it like they thought they would be. And, probably 7 out of 10 will end up calling me back and saying, I don't know if it was all the sleep I got or what you did, but I want to try that again. And, so it's, and I always use essential oils also, some calming and soothing, and some even, for anti-nausea, just to have it on my hands.
And didn't you even do that for one of your surgeons, and she kept asking you to come back for more Reiki?
Yes, right. I did. I gave her a Reiki session, and she hired me on several occasions to come back and give it for Staff Appreciation Day. She hired me for a couple hours to sit in a room and take care of her staff. And I've gone to her office during her lunch break on several occasions to give her a session. Mm-hmm.
Right. So when you build these types of relationships with people, like everybody's going to remember Charlene, right? Especially now that she's gifted them all the Reiki sessions, and it's something different, and it works, and it's just you're going to recommend Charlene and her business. And referrals from Google to word of mouth are very, very powerful. So whether your surgeon is saying it or your best friend is telling you about it, it's really important. So it's all about who you know. And in the beginning, especially in concierge nursing, and please, if you are not willing to go out to build relationships with people, this is not going to work. Okay, so you have to be willing to get to know the right people. Either you know the right people, or you willing to get to know the right people, and it can be a little scary. It's definitely something that we can help with. We can, do the first call for everybody, and we'll talk about that in a couple minutes. But you do have to we can't create the relationship for you. The doctor and the office staff have to trust you and know that you really want to take care of their patients, and you're going to go above and beyond, because it's important for them to know that. All right, so number 2, what do your clients really want? Because friends and family, they're not always very dependable, or they're not the best choice of post-surgery. And some of these patients that are going home, like Kimble, you used to be a busy OR manager, right? So do you want to talk a little bit about these patients that go home from what's considered day surgery these days?
Oh, yeah. This is one of the reasons that pushed me into this type of business, because we would discharge these patients that were nowhere near ready to go. They either just had a hysterectomy, or they just finished having plastic surgery, and they could barely even hold their head up, let alone take care of themselves. And we'd say, where's your ride? Well, their neighbor was going to come back and pick them up later, but we couldn't even reach them, or they have no one. They were just going to go home and sleep for the night, and then maybe, they'll be okay the next morning to take care of themselves. And it would just make me cringe because I knew they were in no condition to stay on their medication after surgery so they wouldn't be in so much pain, or, even take themselves to the bathroom and back, because they were just really out of it. So they were nowhere near ready to go home.
Right. And, I had, years ago, I had IVF, and that's a relatively simple in-office procedure, but the medications affect people differently. And, I get very heavily affected by medications, and they had given me fentanyl and propofol, but I was like so groggy. You think I was in a 12-hour surgery or something for the next 24 hours. Like I went to bed at like 2:00 in the afternoon and didn't get up until the next day. But, Kimble, I think you had a very personal experience too with like family members who don't really know how to deal with you post, like what's normal, what's a normal complication versus, oh my God, you need to call the surgeon, they're bleeding to death.
Absolutely. It was me. It was it was my own surgery. And my mom, bless her heart, she's so sweet. She said, I'm gonna come and take care of you. And I was just, okay, that's fine. She's my mom. What am I gonna say? And I had really serious throat surgery. So I was in excruciating pain. I mean, I'm in my 40s and I'm having tonsils and palate and all kinds of things done back there. And I was in so much pain and I was so out of it. And evidently my mom, would just give me my liquid hydro every time I asked for it. And after probably, I may have like slept through a few days. And then when I woke up, I said, oh, I need my medicine. And I was almost out of it. Like it was gone within just a couple, and it was supposed to last me 10 days. And I was thinking, where's all my medicine? Who's been taking my medicine? Well, she said, but you've been asking for it. You were hurting so bad. And I thought, oh my gosh, if I just had one nurse that just could have come to check on me and tell her, only give her this every this many hours, only this amount. She pretty much just handed it to me. And of course, I'm out of it. I'm asleep. I'm groggy. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just hurting so bad. Just give it to me. And I woke up and I had to try to explain to the doctor that I'm not seeking. I have
drug addict.
been trying to relieve the pain, and my mom let me take too much medicine. And literally, I took almost 10 days worth of medicine in like 3 days because she didn't know any better, and I wasn't with it enough. Right. So I thought I just needed a nurse for a few hours.
And some of these patients too, like they're coming out with JP drains. We had patients come out with JP drains, and I don't know, that's scary. We had one patient who came out with a JP drain, and during the course of our concierge nurse being with him, the JP drain fell out, and he was like freaking out. And then he passed out because he couldn't tolerate the blood. And I'm like, oh my God, can you imagine if anybody but a nurse were here with this guy, like this could have been a disaster. But
right.
All right. So another thing that, so friends and family, they're great, they're helpful, but they don't always know what to look for. They don't know when to call the surgeon. A lot of them don't want to bother the surgeon. Like there's still that mentality of like, oh, I'm not going to call the surgeon unless you're like literally hosing blood out of your, your wound, because they don't want to call. Whereas a nurse, especially one that's dealt with post-surgical patients, they have no problem. The confidence level of when to call a surgeon is so high, and it's just so impressive. We've certainly seen nurses, tell surgeons, no, you're going to look at this and you're going to come down now. So, I've certainly been trained by those nurses, and they're amazing. They're the ones that you want on your side. And surgeons appreciate it too, by the way. They might not like it when it's happening, but they will trust you even more if you do it. But the other thing that a lot of these patients are looking for is discretion, confidence, or, just they don't want everybody to know. Like, I didn't necessarily want everybody to know that I was going through IVF, or you don't want people to know that you're getting a facelift or a tummy tuck or whatever it is that you're getting done. And let's say you live in a city where you don't really have good friends or family around. Like, this is a really, really important service. The colonoscopy, not everybody wants to announce to the world that they're getting a colonoscopy and they need a pickup. Some of these things you just want to be able to do, so that's really important. So there's certainly different ways to different things that the patients want. Some of them do really appreciate and want the energy therapy or the nutritional therapy. They want to know that you're COVID compliant at this point. Like, that's really kind of a standard of care, I would say. And how do you guys handle COVID at this point?
Well, we make sure we have our PPE, and we do COVID screening for our clients, and make sure we're fully covered with the PPE, and our nurses. We make sure they're trained and they're covered, and we're all following protocol.
And vaccinated now. Well, for me.
And
vaccinated, not everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and this time last year, when we were doing concierge nursing, there was a big fear of like, oh my gosh, what is COVID going to do to business? And it turns out that COVID is really making this type of business model like just booming, because people don't want to be in the hospital. Like, they didn't want to be in the hospital before, but now they really don't want to be in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys talk a little bit about how COVID's affected your business?
Yeah, it's actually helped my business to grow. I've had so many people, even if they don't call us when they actually are in, mid-COVID, like experiencing COVID, they're having such after effects from it. And so they don't want to spend time in the hospital. They'd much rather have a nurse come into their home and just take care of things. Someone that's experienced and that knows what they're doing. They would much rather pay for that than to have to go to the ER or to the hospital. So it's actually helped my business to grow.
Yes, same here. I will say the same. Definitely people don't want to be in hospitals. They want to limit their contact with anyone. And you explain that, we'll take our shoes off before we come in. And I just talk through everything. You're going to know that the person who is coming in, they're tested, have tested negative. And we've definitely, the business has grown from that. Yeah.
Okay. And then the third part that you want to do while you're building relationships, because that takes time for sure, is to be persistent on your marketing. And your marketing is about personal contact, so building those relationships that we talked about, but also starting an Instagram account or something that you can show people what it is that you do, because when they see what you're doing, they can visualize. And a lot of people, many people are very visual, so they can see you with pictures of how you work with people. It'll make a difference. So Charlene on her Instagram could have a picture of herself doing Reiki, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a patient that's actually paid, right? She could do Reiki on her mom and put that on Instagram. The point isn't that that's a paying customer. The point is, this is what I can do, right? So engaging on Instagram is huge, and you leverage Instagram as a way to connect with people. So these plastic surgeons, the ones that I told you are very market savvy, they all have Instagram accounts, right? And some of them are gross, but like they're just they're like, oh, look at the surgery, and I'm like, no, I don't want to look at the surgery. But one of the things that you can do is connect with those surgeons and share their stuff and and DM them and just, hey, this is amazing. Like, I'd love to work with surgeons like you because you're top quality and all that kind of good stuff. You're building that relationship and make it honest. Don't just DM everybody and say the same thing. But, that's a way to get in front of them so that when you do show up at the office, they will recognize you and they'll be like, oh, we know you, and you're always sharing our stuff on social media. That's a really powerful way to do marketing. And as we said before, surgeons don't just recommend anyone. And you certainly have had this experience, I'm sure, on any surgical unit, there's like, each surgeon seems to have like their favorite nurse, and it's like that nurse is the only person that could, I don't know, do a fax,
Right.
or, like it doesn't matter how menial the task is, like that surgeon is very myopic, and it's like there's that one nurse that's the go-to nurse, and that's what happens. And it's hard to kind of get into that because into that realm, because they do have their favorites. But once you are one of the favorites, and really it's about caring about their clients and caring about their patients. If you care a lot about their patients, they will notice you, right? So but in the beginning, they're going to be very protective and suspicious of you until they get to know you. So you do have to do some level of proving yourself to get in that kind of that realm of trust, or that spirit trust that they have. Hitting the pavement. Do you guys want to talk about a little bit about local SEO, local marketing, what you guys do to really get clients?
Yeah. So I can go, Charlene.
Go for it.
So absolutely. So one of the things is to make sure that you set up a Google My Business page. I really think that's like super important to local SEO, because it's going to make sure that when someone's looking for your services, it's going to make sure that you show up on the first page of their Google search. Okay. So that's big, huge, right? So you want to be the one that they find when they're searching for concierge nurses, especially if you're the only one in the area, right? And so there are a lot of ways to get you to the top of that list, whether there's a lot of them or not. There are specific ways to get you to the top of that list on their Google search. So that's one of the ways that I use to improve my SEO and get local business. There's tons of them, but that right there is a really big one.
And SEO being search engine optimization, for those of you that aren't as well versed in web language, but it really is like, how do people find you? So you open your shop, you put your shingle out, how do people find you? And that's all about SEO.
SEO.
All right, Charlene.
Yes, I also have Google My Business, and then I do spend time going to physical locations. At first, I went around a lot more, usually every couple of weeks to certain doctors' offices. Now it's kind of narrowed down to about 3 or 4 that give us the most business. And so I will just make rounds, and when it's National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day or something, I'll bring cookies. There's a day for everything. There really is. If you look on the internet, you can find a day for anything. And so when it's a good one and something I can do, and a lot of times I've gone by and given like little essential oil kits or hand lotion, something like that, and just drop it off with a thank you note with my stationery, and do that once a month, and ask them if they have any questions, if they want to lunch and learn, anything like that. And that's how I stay in touch. And that makes a huge difference. I mean, it can be directly related to the amount of phone calls you get on if you just stop by and you're present.
I love that. Yeah. And we do recommend like having a list of 50 places that you engage. And like Charlene's saying, you're going to find that only 20% of them really respond. And those are the 20%, the ones that raise their hand and say, yeah, this is kind of interesting, or, I'm a little intrigued, or yes, definitely, I need your help. Focus all of your energy on those people. Don't, like the first 50 are the ones that you're just putting the initial feel out. And, we call this rack the shotgun. When you rack the shotgun, who turns? Those are the people that know that sound, right? And in marketing, it's the same thing. Like if you go out there and tell people that you exist, the ones that are like, oh, well, I can get a nurse on Craigslist, forget about them. Like, cross them off the list, big X, and focus on the 20% that actually have potential, and show up for National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. To me, every day is a chocolate chip cookie.
I know.
That's my favorite cookie. But yeah, show up to the people, the 20%, and then you're not worried about 6,000 different marketing techniques. You're not worried about, putting together some complex, crazy funnel or whatever marketing tactic du jour there is today. You're only worried about showing up at, what's 20% of 15? 10? Oh my God, 15? I don't know, whatever. I can't do math and think at the same time. But anyway, you're only focused on those 10 people, and you don't need a lot of clients with concierge nursing, which is the best part, right?
I know.
Mhm. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, right. And also you have your local Rotary clubs or downtown business associations that you can go to their luncheons every once in a while. I mean, there's definitely a lot of
Yes.
local presence that you can be visible at certain events. Yeah.
And ultimately, it doesn't matter what combination of stuff you do. Pick certain things to do and just be persistent. You can't just do something once and expect a result. It'd be great if you just, had to call the office one time and then they send you 10 patients. Like, that's wonderful. But that rarely happens, guys. So you have to be persistent. You have to keep going back out there and keep, showing up for chocolate chip cookie day and keep building that relationship. And maybe even you do like one free client for them one time to get reviews and show them what you can do. I mean, all that stuff is fair game.
Yeah.
But it's really, really important to develop those relationships and keep them. Like if somebody called you one time and you didn't know if you were interested or not and never showed up again, I mean, you're not going to hunt that person down. Yeah, you're going to let it go and just be like, oh, it sounds like it would have been an interesting idea, but there was no follow-up. So it's really, really important to find multiple ways to get in front of them, but just focus on a limited number. All right, so we are past the half hour. There's a lot more to this. We want to share this program with you, what we're doing with concierge nursing. We are the largest concierge nursing group out there. We have so many nurses that are doing really, really well. We do want to share a couple of their stories. Charlene and Kimble run the Concierge Nurse Mastermind, and we want to explain to you what is part of the Concierge Nurse Mastermind and what you'll get out of it, which is you're going to start making money more quickly, right? So you want to spend the next 2 years trying to figure out how to do all this stuff. You can certainly do that, but if you want to actually start making money in the next 90 days or sooner, then you want to work with us. So we also offer support and accountability. And again, we are the world's largest group of concierge nurses, the most experienced that we can offer you. We know what it is, and this is an evolving field as well. So there's a handful of people out there that are kind of dabbling in it, but nobody's doing it like we are. So unlike other programs, we teach you how to start and scale a concierge nurse business, and we do this step by step. We teach you how to put that entire business together quickly and efficiently, so you don't have to figure it out by yourself. We show you how to put that workflow together. So all you have to do is implement the system, make it so easy. Charlene. So yes. Charlene, started with us, and why did you want to join a group to start concierge nursing and not just do it on your own?
Oh, because I've been trying to do it on my own for about 1.5 years, and I just couldn't quite get any traction going. I mean, I just didn't, I don't know how to explain it, as far as I spent more time on marketing instead of going in person. And I mean, there's just a lot of things that you taught me that I would have actually never have thought of. And it's totally clicked since then. So,
well, did it help to meet Kimble and the other concierge nurses that we have?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a great support. I mean, to this day, we're texting each other with ideas, and oh, I'm doing this today, you might want to add this service, or, we definitely keep in touch and share things. And then we have the Facebook group that's always helpful for the students that have been through the course. We all stay in touch together. So it's nice. Great support system. Yeah.
And that's a big part of this too, is having that private community where you can communicate and hear what other people are doing. And we have some really like fascinating nurses that are in niches that, you know, when we first started, we thought this was plastic surgery, but it's grown so far beyond that. Do you guys want to give like a couple examples of what niches that people are in?
Yeah. I know we have one student right now. I'm just blown away. They're going to be doing like some type of monitoring service.
Oh, yes.
As their concierge service. Yeah.
Really?
It's fantastic. Yes. They have a huge thing going, and they're going to walk right into this business with tons of doctors and clients already. And then we have other ones that are doing, of course, post-op surgery care, but they're also doing like groups. What do you call them? Like membership.
Really?
Yes, for like the elderly
care.
Yeah. So there's such a variety, Charlene.
Oh, wow.
If you want. So yeah, we're molding them right into some of these things. Yeah.
Yes, and then we have someone that is doing special needs families, helping them transition home from the hospital and getting them the education and resources they need and keeping up with their care management.
Yeah.
We have a nurse practitioner who is doing health assessments globally.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that's really good. We have a lot of needs. Yeah, baby help, all of that good stuff.
And there's several nurses that are doing concierge nurses and IV hydration together. And so because they're a concierge nurse, they're making their IV hydration a mobile business. So they're using it as a mobile concierge IV hydration business. Yeah, so they're combining the two, which is great.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so it's kind of blowing me away, like you come up with a concept and then people like take it to the moon, and it's just like so many things, so many possibilities that you could do, and we have not by any stretch of the imagination uncovered all the things that you could possibly do. So this is really, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
So another part of this is, the policies and procedures. We had nurses that were ready to spend like $10,000 on policies and procedures. And that is essentially what we ended up writing for the nurses. We have contracts and waivers and policies and procedures and all that kind of good stuff. You guys want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we really have everything you need in this course. I mean, all the contracts that you would need for hiring other nurses, for service agreements with your clients, any real contract that you would need is included. And we give you everything. I mean, literally, you just take it and put your logo on it and tweak it to your liking. So there's a ton of waivers and contracts and policies and procedures and everything that you need in here.
An employee manual is also in there.
Yep.
And all the instructions on the systems to use, and I mean, just everything you need to pretty much give it to you and help you get set up. Yeah.
Because and you guys have you have purchased this either for yourself. You know how expensive legal forms are, templates, and putting it together. And the lawyers, when you go to a lawyer, they have no idea what you're talking about. Like when you say, I'm going to do a concierge nurse business, and they're like, well, what does that mean? You're a home health agency. You're like, no. And you're paying for this advice, right? So Charlene and Kimble have done this for you. They've spent this money talking to lawyers, trying to make them understand what it is that we're doing. And that's so that goes hand in hand with that backup is sweet. So we have the policies and procedures, the legal contracts and the waivers and the templates, the policy procedure manual, what Charlene was just talking about, the employee handbook, whether your nurses should be 1099 or employee status. And we have a way to show you to set up your systems so that, when they come to your website, they can click on a button and ideally sign up for your services or have a call with you. Because sometimes people, what do you guys think about that? Do people normally need to talk to you? They're not just signing up for services straight off your website, are they?
Oh, no.
No.
Not when it's their first time. If they're a repeat customer, then they will use the website.
Mhm.
But yes, I usually talk to everybody. That's a first time customer. They have a lot of questions.
Yeah, I do too. I
And you guys have a system for this as well. Like, what does that intake process look like? Like, what do you need to be asking the client? What do you need to know? What do they need to understand about your service? Because if you aren't very specific about what you do, they're going to imagine that you're going to do X service, and you're imagining that you're doing Y service, and that's where you get a clash of like people get upset. You know, like, oh, I thought you were going to do this. So if you don't spell out what it is that you're going to do, there can be a lot of problems with that. So that initial intake call and form is very, very important. And then that gets built into your contract as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the add-on services as well. So this is something that Thomas and Jenny did. They were doing add-on services to their concierge nurse business, which Kimble and Charlene have done as well in terms of the IV hydration, Reiki services, IVF injections. You can do durable medical equipment. I mean, there's just so many things that you could do. It's outrageous. Also, the marketing piece of this. So Kimble and Charlene will show you what they've been doing in their businesses to make it findable, for lack of a better term. Like, how do people find you? Because concierge nursing isn't a term that people are going to Google and say, oh, I'm going to find my local concierge nurse, right? That it's not happening. So what are the terms that they're using? And that's where Kimble and Charlene can help you to get in front of these people. And that's an important part of your marketing, in addition to the personal contact and the relationships that you're building. So that is our Concierge Nurse Mastermind. It's a step-by-step program, private community. You get the legal structure with contract, waivers, templates, back office suite with employee handbook, policies, procedures, hiring people, and the marketing that works. The value of this is very high at $6,000. A $5,000 payment that would be, a fair price. But today's price is $1,497, and that is it's an on-demand, self-paced program. So we wanted to offer that to people because a lot of nurses a lot of them just want the contracts and the waivers. And if you're a seasoned nurse who already has a business together, you put a business together, or you're just like, you're everything but the contracts, this is the best model for you. You're not going to be able to get all this for less than $1,497, but a lot of you, or most of you, also need the extra coaching and mentorship. So we wanted to offer that. We wanted to offer both options to be in with your price point. So we added some more things in addition to the coaching and the mentorship that you get. We're going to help you with your Instagram account. We set you up with our in-house Instagram expert. And this guy, so Ed, he's my Instagram expert, is amazing. And he has put together some of the most gorgeous Instagram accounts for our students. And they were just blowing us away. So they create, he'll show you how to create a hashtag strategy, how to set up your Instagram account, what to post in Instagram, and how to get the attention of these physicians and physician groups. Catherine's another one of our students, Oasis Concierge Nursing. We did do her website, her brochures, because all that stuff is important too. We do for that at a discount for anybody who starts in the membership. The other thing that we do are sales calls done for you. So our team will make those initial calls. So what we do is come up with a dream 50 list for you, and that's surgical offices or medical offices that you tell us that you want us to work in. We will come up with that list, name, address, phone number, email, and make the phone call for you and say, hey, we're representing, let's say, elite concierge nurses. We wanted to find out if we could bring our brochures in, or if we could meet the office manager and send in whoever the business owner is, Kimble, in to talk to you and tell you more about this service that we're offering for your client base.
Yeah.
So yeah, we make that initial phone call for you, and that's huge because so many nurses, like how many nurses in your groups, guys, are just like scared to death to call?
Yes. That's one of the main things that's like the big stepping stone. Okay, what do I say when I call them? What do I, so it's a big deal. That's a huge deal.
Yeah. So now you don't have to worry about what to say. You do have to worry about, you still have to build the relationship with them, guys, because we can't create the relationship for you. Like, because then they're, they have a relationship with our sales team, and that's not what you want. What we're doing is opening the door, and so that you don't get that, because you're always going to get some jerk that's like, no. And, and that does a number on you. It does a number on me. So I mean, maybe everybody else is different, but I have a hard time with that. I don't like to think that I'm bothering people. And our sales team has no problem with it, so they're happy to call, and if they get 20 no's, but what they've gotten, we don't focus on the no's. We send them 20 leads. They're warm leads. They're interested in you coming and dropping off your brochures. You get the office manager's email that they'll give it to us, and a follow-up opportunity, which is huge.
Mm-hmm. Huge.
Okay, you can only get so far by yourself. A lot of times you do need a coach. And I've had this experience just like you, Charlene, like, where I've taken a business to a certain point and then just stop. And you really just need somebody to push you over the edge. And sometimes I've hired coaches that have gotten me over one hump, and I'm like, oh, I could have done that by myself. But the point is, I didn't.
Right. Absolutely. Yes.
I didn't, and I wasn't going to. So it's really important. All right, and then the concierge coaching. So Kimble and Charlene work with you in small group coaching. You get your own private coaching outside of the Facebook group, just with Kimble and Charlene. So it'll be a much smaller group, and then a one-on-one call with one of them to talk about your business. And I think that's really powerful, because have you guys found out, a lot of stuff on those one-on-one calls?
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We really, those calls are just priceless. We can always hear the light bulb click on.
Yes.
Even we really can. Yeah, they come, they're afraid, they don't understand, they don't know the next step. They have so many questions. They've, worked through some of the modules, but still have some questions. So just being able to focus in on their particular business and their particular needs for their business is priceless.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep. And one of the things that I didn't add here, but one of the things that we'll be doing is offering or giving you for, in addition to, is a marketing bundle. It's a 12-week implementation strategy. So here's your Dream 50 list that we gave you. We made all these phone calls for you. Now what? What do you need to do over the next 12 weeks to nurture this group of people? And we'll give you a week by week of what you need to be doing. So that is something that we will add in for the pro members. So the basic package is the on-demand step-by-step program, private community, the legal contracts, the back office suite with the policies and procedures, which are worth more than the course alone, and the waivers, the employee status, marketing that works. That is the business basics option that you can purchase on the website for $14.97. Now the pro edition includes all of that, but you also get the Instagram strategy with our in-house expert, sales calls that will create your Dream 50 list for you, do the sales call for you, that initial sales call. You get the small group one-on-one call with Kimble and Charlene. And the small group coaching, that's over a 90-day period. There's 6 calls, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. 6 coaching calls over a 90-day period. And we're also going to add in your 12-week marketing implementation strategy of what to do after we do those sales calls for you. And the pro edition is $2,500. There is a payment plan on the website, and the website is right here, that nursepreneurs.com/concierge nurses. Fabiola was one of our really high-end nurses with her business, and she was looking at the mother-baby model in the LA region, and I was just blown away just by all of her branding. I was like, yes, like I really want this. I'm not even pregnant, and I want it, you know. Yeah, so there is limited space in the Pro Edition because Kimble and Charlene do a lot of time-intensive coaching in there and working with the students individually. We do want to give you permission to get started, to be successful, and we're giving you the tools to start 10 paces ahead of where we were. So, and we'll provide that mentorship in the Pro Edition for you. Well, if you're a DIY type of person, then go for basics. But if you're like most people, you need that extra coaching and that mentorship. It's really, really important to first get started. So again, this is a time versus money thing. You can do it alone and hope that it works out, but it will cost you money in the long run. And every time I try and do something myself, it somehow costs me $10,000 or $15,000. I don't know how, but it does. Or you can do this with the most experienced nurses in the industry, which are Charlene and Kimble. All right, guys, let's, again, we have the basics version and the Pro Edition. So there's two different versions here. So when you go to the website, you'll see there's a button for Business Basics, and that includes the on-demand program, the private community, legal structure with contracts, templates, waivers, back office suite with policies and procedures, employee handbook, and the marketing that works. So Kimble and Charlene talk about what works for them in terms of local strategy. In addition, for the Pro Edition, you get the Instagram strategy with our in-house expert, the sales calls that are done for you, the concierge coaching calls, the small group calls for 90 days, and a one-on-one call with either Kimble or Charlene. And we're adding in the marketing bundle here for nurses to give you that 12-week marketing implementation strategy. What do I do with this Dream 50 list that you've made all these phone calls to? We're going to tell you exactly what to do every week for 12 weeks. In addition, for both groups, the basic and the Pro version, we do have discounts on any type of business collateral, brochures, logos, branding, and websites. Those aren't included in either edition, but they're certainly available to you. All right, so let's see, do we have questions? I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute. We'll send this out to everybody. Let's see, where are you guys? There you are. Let me put the email in here. Let's see, nursepreneurs.com/concierge nurses. All right, and do we have, what kind of, oh, you guys are answering all the questions?
Yes. Not so great.
All right, so if there are any additional questions, let's see, thank you. Okay, let me put the banner in as well. Banner, NursePreneurs.com. We look forward to having you guys in this.
Say hi to me particularly. So hi. There was someone that.
Patience, yes.
Hi, Kimble. Hi, Patience.
And if you're part of the IV hydration group, we do have a special for you, so you can connect with Kimble, and if you want to incorporate, or if you join Concierge Nurses and you find that you want to join IV hydration later, we do have a very significant discount for doing both courses. Can you give an idea of what you would charge a patient?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, there was a whole bunch of questions that popped up. I'm sorry. I went out of order.
Okay.
So it says, started 2 NGOs from the start in the US and international. It's hard. Policies and procedures especially. Yes, absolutely. We need to be able to do something to that. Will give us funds for NGO. Also could help those NGOs. Okay. If I purchased IV class and want to do this too, is it full price? No, absolutely not. We have a discount. Just connect with us, Kimble or me, or respond to one of my emails, and we'll send you a discount link.
Yep.
And then can you give an idea of what you would charge a patient?
So go ahead, Charlene.
I have packages, and I charge. I offer the same services, but I charge per hour. So right now, my hourly rate is $100 per hour, and it's a minimum of 4 hours. So I have a 4-hour package that's $400, and then I have an 8-hour package, and I figure the last. I'll give you details later, but the last 4 hours of that 8 hours is at a lower rate than $100 per hour.
Yeah,
that makes sense. So yes.
And you're in the Savannah, Georgia area, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, it really depends on your geographical area, though, because I know there's some people out west that charges almost double that for every hour for hourly rate. So it really will depend on where you're located, and you really just have to do the market research in your area to see what you could charge. So that's something that we go over in the course.
Right. And we did have a student who was out in LA, and she wanted her packages to start at $3,000. Like that was the minimum package that you could, and she could do that with her client. Now, I mean, can you do that in Dayton, Ohio? I don't know. Like maybe it depends on, that clientele. And, even the plastic surgery patients, I mean, let's just put it this way. There's not that much difference between $100 and $125 an hour. Okay. So like that is a decent price range for concierge nursing.
Yeah.
Can you bill insurance?
I do not bill insurance.
No, cash only.
Yeah, I would think that, what about HSA funds or something?
Yeah, I do take FSA, HSA cards for nursing care, for nursing services. Yes.
Me too.
Rachel in Philadelphia, we were charging, because we were in Philadelphia when I had my concierge nurse business there, and we were charging $125, and there were offices that the plastic surgery offices wanted to work with us. My partner passed away, and we had to close our business. That was a couple of years ago, but they were very excited about the idea of concierge nursing. And we can certainly, you can certainly make a list of plastic surgeons in Philadelphia. There's a lot of them, and yeah, it's a good market, willing to pay for it.
Okay.
Let's see. I've started a concierge nurse business already. Legal structure website. I'm looking for help with contracts and a better system. Yeah, I think the basic package would be the best for you.
Yep.
Require clients to pay a retainer fee. Have you guys done that?
Yep. My clients, they have to pay before the services are rendered, so they don't need to pay. I collect upfront.
Me too.
Yeah, very, very, very important, because people lose enthusiasm to pay you after the fact, and it's very hard to get them to do it, right? I mean, you could say you're going to sue them, but it'll cost you more to get a lawyer to sue the person to try and get the money. So if they don't pay you afterwards, like if you go send them an invoice, there's really little recourse on your part as a business owner. So please, please, please collect that money up front.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, there's a payment plan for the Pro Edition on the website, which is here, nursepreneurs.com/concierge nurses.
We had one person to ask, would this program work for someone who wants to open a recovery house as a nurse, or just private concierge nursing? So
I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you be comfortable with that?
Yeah. Yes.
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 I would, but I'm not teaching the course. So.
I actually consider opening a recovery house for my concierge.
Really?
I feel like we have a person that's wrapping up tonight that has that idea, and we spoke to them about it once.
Okay.
It was either this one or the one before. I can't remember.
Yeah, I've actually considered that. So I think it would work. I think having a recovery house, I know of one particular plastic surgeon's office here in my area that would send me every single client that they have if I had a recovery house. They already refer me lots of people, but I bet they would increase that. We've had talks about that because they get a lot of clients that come from out of town, and I take care of a lot of their clients at hotels. And so to have a recovery house would just make it all the better.
Mm-hmm. I know.
So,
yes, it would be.
Yeah. So for this course, I think would work for both of those if that's what you're interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we cover the concierge part, not necessarily the real estate part of getting a recovery house, but the concierge part about how to set that up to get those clients.
Yeah, I did a podcast interview with somebody on recovery house, and there are definitely laws and stipulations, like a certain number of patients, or not patients, I guess clients. You can only have a certain number, and that's like state regulated. So that would be something to look into for sure.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Rachel says, do the physicians expect anything for referrals? No, and never work with a physician that asks you for something. It's a kickback and it's illegal.
It's illegal, yes.
Are you familiar with the Atlanta area?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, both Charlene and Kimble, they're not in the Atlanta area, but they are certainly in the periphery. And that is a hot market. There's so many physician offices. Oh my gosh, like there's so many. Like people come from all over the world for Atlanta plastic surgeons.
Yes.
I always feel like they're in that the American Airlines, best doctors. They're always from Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you could charge more in Atlanta as well.
Because it's a bigger city with all those famous doctors.
Yes.
And when somebody's coming in and they're paying $50,000 for a mommy makeover, your $1,000 bill is like chunk change, guys. Like it's nothing, and they would expect it.
And a lot of celebrities live in Atlanta as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and that goes with the discretion factor. If you can position yourself as discreet and VIP, and if that's the market you want, you can charge an absolute premium for that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I have noticed that most concierge nurses have a minimum MSN. Is this a factor?
No.
No.
It is not a factor. Mm-mm. Not at all.
I
You work within your scope of practice, whatever that is.
Yeah, I don't have an MSN, and I do fine.
I do have an MSN, but I don't need it for my business. I do not need it for what I'm doing.
Do you need a medical director for recovery house?
You know,
do you?
On state. I'm not sure. It depends on the state guidelines, I would imagine.
Well, if you're doing the same concierge services that you would be doing at their home, following discharge instructions, if you're not trying to implement things of your own, you're not playing doctor, then I don't know that you would, but I don't have a definitive answer for that question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, if you do need a medical director, we actually do have, for IV hydration, we have a service for medical directors, and we will be setting our IV hydration nurses up with medical directors. So and I believe Aisha is in IV hydration, so that would definitely count for her. She'll get that medical director anyway from us.
Yep, that's great.
How long do we have access to the class?
Always.
Always and forever. No, so the bonuses are so the coaching is time limited, so they can't Kimble and Charlene can't coach for the next 5 years, but so that's time sensitive. And some of the bonuses, like that's the other thing too, like we can't have you coming back and say you want your sales calls a year or two from now, because I have to anticipate this. So we do ask that you claim your bonuses or these the sales calls and your one-on-one calls within 3 to 6 months, and that's really, really important, that time frame, just so that we know when we're done. It's really important.
Yeah.
Is this something you can do part-time? Kimble, that's a good one for you.
Yeah, absolutely. You can control this. It's your business, so you can take on as many clients or as little clients as you want. Just get yourself established, and then you can decide how much of this you want to do, or you can bring on other nurses to do it while you still keep your full-time job. I did that for the first 2 years. So.
Yeah, and you were busy. Like when I met Kimble, she was working on Sundays for the OR because she couldn't get everything done during the week because she was so busy. And yet she wanted to start a business on top of it, which I was like, oh my God, this woman is crazy. But, but she did it.
I did. Yeah. Did it for a good while.
Yeah.
And it was great. So.
Yeah, and you will eventually burn out doing that. So, but the beginning can be slow because you have to build relationships. And I know that's like the most frustrating part for everybody is like, come on, I just want this relationship to move faster and let's get married. But, but you have to take it slowly. But the thing is, again, when you get that surgeon who's like, I just want Kimble, I just want Charlene, all of a sudden you get their whole roster of patients and it's you're like, oh my God.
Yes.
Time to hire someone or two or three.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We talked to you about that too, about hiring and how to get that process done, because the day will come when you'll need some help. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And that's something else too that you want to think about as you're building your business. Like, you can't be everywhere all the time. And you need to be able to trust the nurses to love your business as much as you love your business, right? So you want to build a brand. It's really important to build yourself a brand and then indoctrinate that in the nurses that you bring on to help you and say, this is what I need you to do. Like, it's not acceptable to smoke or to like hang out on your cell phone while you're taking care of a patient. So, and that's all in the employee handbook and the policies and procedures, like laying that stuff out, like laying down the law and what you think is acceptable and what's not acceptable. And it's really, really important.
Yeah.
The difference between concierge nursing and home health. That's a good one.
Okay. So do you want me to take that one, or you want to take it? Okay. So concierge nursing, you're gonna, and you guys can throw your 2 cents in after I'm done if you want to, but I say concierge nursing is a luxury service. You're gonna offer them an experience. This is not anything that you're gonna be filing insurance for. You don't have like 25 patients on the roster for the day, so you're so in and out, you don't have time to even really look them in the face and talk to them. You're there with them, you're their person, okay? Because they don't have anyone. And even if they do have someone, they don't have anyone that they trust to do the services that you're doing for them. That's why you're there. And so it's a whole different ballgame that you take on when it comes to concierge nursing and home health. Home health, you're going to get paid what the agreement is between your business and the insurance company or whoever pays that bill. Concierge nursing is a luxury service that people are purchasing because they need you discreetly, and you're offering them this full experience of boutique care. That's how I see it.
Agree. I'm the same. I mean, the reason I actually went out on my own was so I could spend more time with my patients. Because obviously in the hospital setting, it's just not possible. And
home health is largely it's driven by insurance and Medicare, right? So they're regulated by third parties. You have to do your care the way that Medicare tells you have to do it. You have to have the documentation the way that Medicare has you do it. In concierge nursing, we do follow a lot of those guidelines, but we're unregulated. We do not need to follow those guidelines. We're not JACO investigated or whatever it is that they do, surveyed. So, it's a whole different realm. And patients in home care, they have to be approved for those services, right? So they have to meet certain qualifications. Whereas, plastics, so going home from plastic surgery from the hospital does not qualify for home care. But if you still want a nurse, and a lot of the patients do, they're like demanding nurses, you don't have any other option other than Craigslist. So now there's this option of like boutique luxury nursing that it's one-on-one care and they're taking care of you. And that's why these are popping up, is because home care isn't taking care of these patients and they want the nurse. Home health is also very, very expensive. If you're going to have a certified, you can't bill Medicare until you're fully certified. To put a fully certified, JACO approved home health care agency together is going to cost you between $100,000 and $200,000, and it'll take about a year. So a lot of people start out in private duty nursing, which is they get state contracts to do nursing care for the state. And they're largely private pay, just like concierge nursing, but they're regulated by JACO and third parties. Concierge nursing, there's a lot more freedom that's available there.
Yeah.
Yes, it is not state regulated, just to address the second part of patient's question. The legal process, there isn't anything that you need to do except have a valid nursing license and practice within your scope. That's it.
And malpractice insurance. Please.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you should have malpractice even if you don't do this business. Like, please get it, because as we've seen, the hospital is not going to side with you.
Right.
They're never going to side with you. You need your own insurance.
They're not.
Let's
We
see.
have
The
one-
question. I'd love to start a concierge. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
One says, can you do concierge for cardiology patients? Yes. You can do
That's a good one.
concierge for all kinds of patients, orthopedic patients, cardiology, plastic surgery, general patients.
Pediatrics.
Surgery. Yes. I mean, all
Pediatrics.
types of patients. There's
Urgent
no
care.
There's,
There are a
yeah, we
lot.
have a nurse that's doing urgent care for her
Yes.
concierge service and IV hydration with that as well. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I would say about cardiology is that we discovered in one of the projects that one of my students did that was unrelated to concierge nursing, but she found that it was after interventional cardiology, the hospital wanted to send the patient home, the patient wanted to go home, but insurance mandated that they stay there. And it was so expensive for the hospital. So if you have a relationship, or you can develop a relationship with C-suite or the attending cardiology interventionalist and say, look, I can take this patient home. It's safe to go home after interventional cardiology. They want to send these patients home, but they don't have anybody to send them home with. And it would cost the hospital so much less to contract with you and your team to do that than it would be to admit them to the hospital, because they're eating that cost.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. I'd love to. I have not seen any of these businesses in my local area. That can be a blessing and a curse, because if your doctors have never heard of concierge nursing, you have to educate them. And a big part of the relationship that you build is educating and telling them why their patients need this service.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Let's see. I do home health. Oh my goodness. I just lost where I was. I do home health, but I do have patients who desire special care after surgery. I will say, I only want you back. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's challenging sometimes, but yes, it's great.
Promoting this in low, medium income vicinities. That can be hard. That can be tough.
It can be tough. It can be done. You would just lower your prices and profit. But if that's what your heart's telling you, then go for it. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I mean, it is a tough market, because in any business you have to make sure that the person that you're selling to it's not enough to just want the service. They have to be able to pay for the service. So you can certainly, as your business grows, maybe have some sort of nonprofit arm to the business that supports or scholarships those types of patients, or you work with the hospital, because a lot of these patients, especially if they can't go home, stay in the hospital, and the hospital again foots that bill. So they might be more willing to spend way less money to send those patients home with you than to have them come into the hospital system.
Yeah.
True.
So it's about synergistic partnerships. So I would look for, especially if you're interested in that realm, is work with people that work with that patient population and start brainstorming how you can bring your team of nurses in and solve this problem.
Mhm. Or you can think of another area other than just post-op care for concierge, like COVID testing, lab draws,
Yes.
all of these type of things that you can do for concierge that maybe is a different price point than just overnight or, hourly post-op surgery. You could do a little bit of that, but you could bring some other things in as well to supplement that revenue,
Yeah. We have a concierge nurse down here in Mexico, and she does very, very well, especially with the tourism trade. But she does these in-home COVID tests, and it's like $150. And I was like, the test itself is $10. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
How is this so expensive in Mexico? Like, I can only imagine.
Right. Yeah, that's what I would probably do. Find some other services to offer at different price points that would help with the revenue on that low cost.
Do you have a medical director to write orders for IV hydration business? Yes. If you're a nurse, you definitely need a medical director to write standing orders. You do not need a medical director for concierge nursing.
No.
All right, guys. If you want to go to nursepreneurs.com/concierge nurses, check out what we're offering. This course officially starts next week. If you do the basic course, you'll have automatic access. But for the pro students, that starts next week with Charlene and Kimble. So very, very excited. I will send an email out with all this information, and it'll be summarized for you so you can take a look. But we really are excited for this, and you'll join us in this journey and be part of our family here.
Yes, absolutely. I love the Nursepreneur family. It's been so good to see. Yes, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
No, it's a great network. Great network.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everybody. Thanks for attending today, and hopefully we'll see you on the other side.
Yes.
Right.
Bye.